4 years, 50 mil, 25.5 guaranteed. On the surface, 25.5 million guaranteed. Where do we sit with this? Do you like it? Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean,
it's very well.
It's less than some of the other big running back deals, but I think it works for Derrick Henry. 25 million. I mean, it's half the contract. So it's basically, 2 years if they decided to cut him into this contract, he'd make $12 million a year, which is about right. I mean, it's not the $16 million, $12.5 million, I should say. It's not the $16 million that Christian McCaffrey signed for per season, but Derrick Henry is also not Christian McCaffrey. He's not a dual purpose threat like C-Mac is. I think this is the right deal. I think that's the right market, to be honest with you, for top-end running backs, around $12 to $14 million. If you get an elite player like C-Mac, or hopefully, my guy, Saquon Barkley, in a couple of years, you can push it up to $16 or so million a year. But I think this is well done by both sides, and I think it's great for Derrick.
Derrick Henry is not small. Here's what I'm very curious about. So he's listed around 6'3", 250, 252.
No,
he
he's
strikes
massive.
me as a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
He really does. Remember when we had him, when he won the Heisman, he was fresh out of Bama.
That's right.
He came into our studio, and we were taking a picture with him, and we just put our hands on the back of his neck like you would do for a photo.
That's right.
My God, this guy is like a piece of granite.
He reminds me of Brandon Jacobs, but he's more of an elusive runner than BJ was.
That's true.
Right? Same
Better
size.
vision.
Exactly. Better vision.
Better burst.
BJ was he was a truck, man. Yeah, Derrick Henry actually will go around you, as well.
Yeah. I would say that, to use a baseball analogy, Brandon Jacobs was a thrower. He was throwing 100 miles an hour.
Right.
But he's
Power
not,
pitcher.
Yep. He's not dotting the corners. Derrick Henry's much more of a thrower. Now, he's a thrower with the heat, but he's more refined. He's hitting corners. He's mixing in some other stuff. He's just better. No, I get it. So let me ask you this. I want the residue from this past season, 303 carries. That's just during the regular season.
Yeah.
Now, it's easy to forget. I mean, you and I know this, but the average football fan might not know that he only started 4 games his first 2 years. All right? So there were a lot of carries that were preserved based on relative inaction there. And it's not like he's 27 or 28. As I said, he's 25. He's firmly entering the early part of his prime. And the first couple of years didn't tax him residually.
Yep.
I mean, how many years can Derrick Henry get the football 300-plus times and punish people?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, max, you can probably do it 4 or 5 years. But he didn't have to do it early. It's interesting because people always ask me about this with my career because I seemingly got better at the end of my career when I was approaching 30, but it was because of what you were just saying, BT. I didn't carry the ball early. I started as a freshman. I started as a rookie, but then I got hurt, and then I was kind of just a situational guy until 2000. So 4 years into my career, it's when I started to carry the ball a little bit more. But it's still then it was only like 205 or 6 carries. It wasn't until those last 3 seasons where I was getting the ball 350 times, including receiving yards, and that's when it started to take a toll, and ultimately why I retired. So if you can do it for about 4 or 5 seasons, if you're strong and durable and you stay healthy, you take care of yourself, but he hasn't done it that long. So how many seasons does he have of this left? I'd say 3, 4, which is exactly in line with the deal that they gave him. That's why I look at this deal and say this is right. It feels right for all parties. From all party standpoints. I don't have the details like the outs, etc. On this deal.
I haven't seen them yet either.
But I mean, I'm going to assume. Yeah, it's not uploaded yet, the details of this, but I'm going to assume that there's likely an out after year 2 of this deal, where it's not overly punitive for the Tennessee Titans should something happen, like attrition starts to take over for Derrick Henry. Again, he's only 26 years old. Maybe that's even after the 3rd year before they have that out. So, but I think 4 years is just right for him.
Yeah, and to look at it a different way in terms of usage, he's averaged 167 carries the first 3 years. Obviously, this was a big one at 303. And to Tiki's point, unlike McCaffrey and others who, Kamara catches the ball quite a bit, Kareem Hunt when he's right, when he's healthy, when he's active, he catches the ball. These guys, bouncing off linebackers, getting knocked out of bounds. You catch the ball 60, 70, 80 times. Le'Veon Bell, when he's healthy with the Steelers, caught it a ton. Derrick Henry, in terms of targets, his first 3 targets, not even receptions, 15, 17, and 18.
Yeah.
His first 3 years. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Could he push it? Can he have
maybe? I mean,
5 years? Can he? I don't know.
Maybe. Because last year, I mean, it was a high usage year for him. He played, but again, let's also look at this. He's like early in his career, he played 25% of the snaps and 40% and 40%. And I bring this up because remember, Chris McCaffrey's playing 100% of the snaps in a season, which is crazy. Derrick Henry peaked last year at only 60% of the snaps, so he's going to get his rest time. So with 303 carries, he had 18 receptions last year, so 321 touches. With 18 touchdowns, and his efficiency was just amazing. Ran for over 5 yards a carry. I'm glad they got this done because the threat of him being somewhere else would be detrimental to the Tennessee Titans.
The only thing I worry about, and to pull another baseball aspect here, you and I have talked about this a lot. Pitch counts, the modified way we evaluate, or at least teams keep the restraints on young arms and even veteran arms. But generally there's a thought, and the incremental uptick is a little different for each organization. But generally you bring a kid up, you want to, all right, so if he goes 100 innings his first year, maybe the next inning or the next year he goes up to about 130, and then you just keep bumping up and eventually get him up to 200 plus and becomes a horse if he's good enough. But imagine going for 100 innings, 112, 149, and then boom, 276. With no real gradual workup. I could argue that that's far more detrimental than starting at like 170, 192. So I guess my question pertaining to Derrick Henry,
I think it's different.
Almost more dangerous?
No, I don't think so.
The blunt trauma all came in 1 year.
No, I don't think so. I think you learn how to. Like, one of the hardest things for young football players, I was going to say athletes, but I think this is specific to football players. One of the hardest things to learn how to do is to stay healthy, like how not to take that hit. I remember, we were alluding to Brandon Jacobs earlier, and he was my backup for a couple of years. And I'd always be like, Brandon, you're going to play like 3 years or 4 years if you keep trying to run over everybody. Yep. I mean, it looks great, and you're going to win, but that's a hit you're taking unnecessarily sometimes. And so Derrick Henry at this point in his career, he doesn't take a lot of like massive hits. I think about like some of these runs that he's had, or just if you imagine him, you don't see these massive Christian Okoye type collisions.
Oh, it's our buddy Christian Okoye,
right? But you don't. But he's not that type of player. And
but he delivers the hits. So what's the difference?
Not really. He glances them. It's weird. Okay. Like he'll. His body gets low. His leverage is he's always going to win because he's big man, but also levered man. They usually say low man wins, but with Derrick Henry, it's not the case because how big he is and how low he can get. Yep. Like, he's delivering these glancing blows and keeping moving forward. And so I think he's learned over the years how to manage the contact that comes into his body. Now, again, I could just be saying what I feel like is right, but I think ultimately he's smart enough not to take too many hits over the course of his seasons.
Okay. The other thing it shows is that when both sides are motivated to make it happen, it happens, no matter how last minute it might be. Dallas Cowboys, not everybody was motivated to make it happen, hence it hasn't happened. Whereas with the Titans, they got down and dirty. Derrick Henry's reps always stayed in touch, even with the allure or the overhang of the tag. They really never stopped talking. So that's great. Great for the Titans, great for Tannehill, and great for a guy who earned every penny, as he was absolutely fantastic last year running the football. Great stuff.
Yep.